Good. Good morning. Sorry, I had a technical difficulty on my end. I think it kept recording. My laptop died, so I had to kind of scramble and prop it up on a uh, on a book because the charger is so sensitive and all of that good stuff. So anyway, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are around the world listening to this. I want to trust that you can hear me clearly. I'm going to start recording on my podcast as well, my Anchor podcast. I'm also on Spotify. I'm on Apple podcast as well. So, and I'm live right now on YouTube. So I'm going to record for my uh, podcast family on those other platforms I just mentioned. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are listening from. Welcome to Ubuntu Roots Podcast, an energetic portal that inspires us to unlock ancestral potentials within ourselves far beyond what is commonly known. I am your host, Serena Lilato Victor. The podcast, as some of you may know, has been on a hiatus for over a year now. The last I recorded, I believe, was March of 2022. The last time we spoke, I recovered from a dramatic job exit. If you need to learn the whole story, please go back to season one, the last two episodes of season one, if you want to learn more about the story of the dramatic job loss that I recovered from. So I've had several people approach me, within the year that I've been on hiatus, hey, what happened after you got fired? Give us an update. What's going on with you, right? So some people that care have been, trying to keep tabs, trying to get an update. What happened? So that's how dramatic the job exit was, that it got some community attention, right? And some community members were concerned and wanted to see where I was at in life. So, where am I now? What's going on with Serena? Victor, me, Serena Victor, the host of Ubuntu Roots podcast. What's going on with my personal life? What's going on with the podcast? What's happening, right? So one thing I know is after I got ceremoniously unfired from the Bavona job, regardless of how long I was there, I really did love the job. I really loved the idea of working with people in our community and helping to find solutions for the things that were going on in their lives, particularly mental health or, just life transitional issues that would, cause or trigger a mental breakdown. I loved finding solutions, helping folks, reach some forms of emotional equilibrium before we kind of gave them resources. We worked in that job, go back to season 1, the last 2 episodes, just go back and listen. I go in detail about how much I love the job and what I was doing. Right. So one thing I know, so I've been away on a hiatus. I'm one person who always looks for the meaning in things. I always want to find the wisdom nugget in why, what happened? What am I supposed to learn from this? So obviously, naturally, I ask myself the question, what am I supposed to learn from this dramatic exit? What is this here to teach me? And honestly, I found a quote yesterday that perfectly speaks to what my lesson was. The quote is by Branden Collinsworth, and it reads like this: anything you lose by speaking your truth isn't a loss, it's divine alignment. I'll read that again. Anything you lose by speaking your truth isn't a loss, it's divine alignment. So for those of you who don't know the story, it lets you know that there were some truths that I spoke on, not necessarily while I was on the job, but prior to the job. And that caused a misalignment between me and the employer, right? And so where the divine alignment for me has come in is that I believe my own ancestors were already telling me, hey, we want you to continue developing your own business, right? Develop your own business where you become the CEO, the founder of your own thing, your own project, your own baby, your own, soul offering to the world. So that dramatic firing sort of pushed me into that direction. I became clear, like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to be doing with my life, is building a business, building a brand, building an offering where my ancestors and I can work together unencumbered to offer services, spiritual services to folks in our community in the most expansive ways without having any boundaries or tethers that come with modernity or Western society. Right. So that's what I had to do next, was begin to build a business. Right. And so with building the business, obviously things around me had to change. I've been pretty much in hermit mode or isolation from about March 2022, right? I've steadily become a recluse in my own community, steadily going inwards, steadily spending a lot of time by myself. But I feel like it's been necessary to do that because I needed to come home to myself, right? I needed to come home to the inner Serena and figure Serena out, right? Begin to listen and march to the beat of my own drum, right? My ancestors were literally playing the drum in my ears, literally playing the drum in my ears. And I think that was symbolic of come home to yourself. Literally, I would call someone I know in the community. I didn't ask them if I could share their name because the story just came out, but a dear leader in the community, they are the owner of a yoga studio, Black owned, female led yoga studio. So you know who I'm talking about without saying their name. I would call them and say, I'm hearing drums, I'm hearing drum beats. And they would so lovingly, just hold space for me and allow me to speak. But what I know now is that my ancestors were asking me to come home to myself, to come and reclaim and remember my authentic self, right? And so that's what my journey is like. I took the time to learn yoga, and I think I may have already had a yoga certification at the time, but I immersed myself in restorative yoga for. I've been immersing myself in restorative yoga for almost a year since March of 2022 when I last made the episode, and also immersing myself in chair yoga, led by Marissa Brand. I want to say Marissa Bay. Her name's Marissa Bay on Instagram. I'm just gonna say her name. Oh my god, I'm name dropping right now. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of chair yoga. That has been so restorative to me. So restorative, releasing so much trauma in the hips because our ancestors and our indigenous ways of healing tell us that we hold a lot of trauma in our hips. So chair yoga was so instrumental in releasing so much of the fears and the pains that I was carrying. So I needed to be in hermit mode. I needed to sort of hear my own drum beat, my internal drum beat. I needed to hear the voices of my ancestors and begin to identify how they speak to me even more. Remember, parts of myself that I've lost because of conformity, right? Having to conform to the standards of this society, having to conform to religion, having to strip away, to deconstruct, do a lot of deconstruction. Why do I believe what I believe? And discovering that a lot of the things I held dear, a lot of the beliefs I had in my mind, I didn't have a say in adopting those beliefs. They were just given to me. And I thought, oh, this is how we live in society. We're just given what to believe and we just take it and we don't question, right? But so the deconstruction actually didn't start last year. It started, a couple of years ago. But I think I got in the throes of it when I took a hiatus off of the podcast and while I was, kind of listening to the rhythm of the business that, I'm building with my ancestors day by day, right? And one of the things I've learned while being on hiatus is that the way the ancestors work is they don't march to the drumbeat of Western society, to the drumbeat of capitalism and colonialism and patriarchy and all the isms. They don't march to that drumbeat. In fact, their drumbeat, their rhythm is very slow. It's a much slower pace. It seems slower because everything in this society is sped up, especially in the West. Everything is sped up. If I even look at microwaves, you can get a meal within 5 minutes. You can get a meal within 30 minutes. You can get a meal within 30 seconds, let alone go to a drive-through. Within 10 minutes, you already have, French fries and a burger and a shake in front of you. And if you work a 9 to 5, you're expected to gouge all that down within 10 to 15 minutes because you got to go back to work in 30 minutes or so or an hour. Blessed are they who have an hour break as opposed to 15 minutes or 20 minutes break. You know, I've worked in jobs where I had 20 minutes breaks or 30 minutes, an hour. It always seemed unnatural, right? It always seemed unnatural being on a break at work and eating within the allotted time, an hour. Always seemed unnatural. And sometimes it felt like I was out of rhythm with even what I wanted to, how I wanted to eat and when I wanted to eat. It felt there was such a misalignment there, such a crevice of misunderstanding between self, right? And so, what happened? So, but you constantly suppress yourself because you need the job. You need to do this, you need to do that. So you're constantly suppressing self, constantly suppressing self. So, within the hiatus and building my business, I've had opportunities to unsuppress myself, to unleash parts of myself that were hiding in the dark. And part of that unleashing has looked like what Audre Lorde calls as the power, the uses of the erotic, right? The power of the erotic is what I call it, the uses of the erotic. And understanding that I didn't even know what the erotic was. I'm still trying to find out, not find out intellectually, but find out through experience, energetically, and remembering. And part of what has happened is, and even in coexistence with the ancestors, it's a co-creation between the erotic, which is the divine feminine in me, and my ancestor, right? Ancestral knowledge and ancestral remembrance, which is also in my bones. So the two coming together. It's not that they're separate; they're one. They're two in one. They're inseparable, I believe. Is understanding that my ancestors gave me a clear message, Pila Hande, right? Pila Hande meaning live well. And that's the name of my business, Pila Hande Wellness Project, right? So this is a space where we want people to live well, a directive from my ancestors. So with having that directive from my ancestors, pila hande, and then with the erotics showing me what the erotic is, it's pleasure. It's pleasure beyond sex. It's pleasure beyond the bedroom. It's pleasure beyond two people coming together to feel good in the moment. It's beyond I'm going to look good so that I can look attractive for X, Y, and Z. It's beyond all that, right? It smashes all those boxes, and even it smashes the confines of how love is defined in our society. It smashes all those boxes. And so I feel like the erotic has come in my life, not necessarily for me to focus on what is being smashed, but to focus on what makes me feel good. Literally, it feels good. So I'm going to go for more of that. It feels good. Making these podcasts, I remember, for a year, I kept remembering, I need to go back to the podcast because it makes me feel good to share stories. It makes me feel good to dispense the wisdom I have stored inside of me. It makes me feel good to exercise my gifts as a storyteller, right? Who paints very vivid pictures for those who are called to be drawn to the way that I tell stories. It makes me feel good to post inspirational posts on Instagram. It makes me feel good to go on TikTok and just sort of like figure out the TikTok lives and only have one person in my room listening. And when I leave the room, TikTok will tell me, you had 100 people listening. I was like, where were the 100? Because they don't click into your room. So they're watching from the outside of your room. You know what I mean if you're on TikTok a lot. So, working and building my business is pleasurable most of the time. There's some things I don't find pleasure, like the marketing aspect of things. I'm trying to build a website. I don't know what website building entails. I can already tell that's not something that brings me pleasure, right? So I'm going to outsource that part. If you're a website builder, you're listening to this and you don't mind helping a Black woman building her business from ground up without any inheritances, millions of inheritances to sort of pump into the business, all of this is coming from just day by day faith and building coin by coin as coins come in, as money comes in, little by little, lot by lot. If you're out there, you're a website builder, you're skilled in marketing, hey, listen, hit me up, okay? ubunturoots@gmail.com. Hit me up. Let's talk. I could use all the help I can use. I can use all the help I can get in terms of marketing and in terms of website building, and even in terms of editing podcasts. So everything I'm doing right now is not going to get edited. This is all going to go live. As you can see, I'm already live on YouTube right now. And so those who have the gift of editing, sure, come in. But I feel like editing myself is going to cut off some of the authenticity that I bring to the space. So I would rather keep it as authentic as possible. Whatever slips out, slips out. Whatever doesn't. Whatever corks and awkwardnesses come out, that's okay. It's all part of the magic, the magic of being myself. So yes. So that's where I've been, right? Really coming home to myself and really understanding myself as I grow the business. The first thing I felt like the ancestors have been showing me for a while, even before 2022, before I went on the hiatus, is they're on a totally different timeline, right? They're on the same timeline I would equate to nature. Everything is slow, yet everything happens in its time, and I think the way that they've helped me to understand what slowness looks like is looking at my garden. How does my garden grow? My garden grows in a very slow manner, right? In a very systematically slow manner, right? I mean, the only thing that I think grows is here so quickly and gone so quickly are tulips, right? Tulips, the minute you see them shoot out of the ground, I start to watch them. This year, I watched the tulips because I knew they're on a schedule. They're going to go fast. So I don't want to miss any moment with them, right? So almost every day, I'll make sure I took in the moment to see them because I know any minute now, they're going to blossom, they're going to be beautiful, and then they're going to be gone, right? Within maybe 2 months or so, they're gone. Correct me if I'm wrong with the time frame. So But even in that, there's a lesson in all of that, that nature takes its time to grow. Nature takes its time to blossom. Nature takes its time to come into being. It's just that we've been put on a timeline to gratify the few rich in the world. Everything is so fast paced. We are at the pace of machines. We're expected to perform at the pace of machines. We're expected to be as efficient as machines, right? Whereas nature sees us as divinity, right? Our ancestors see us as divinity, and they respect us as divine beings. And so, and with that respect comes with the sense of, you're not going to learn everything you need to learn in 1 week, and then we're going to ask you to write a dissertation about it. No, it might, one concept with ancestors might take, a year. If you're one person who's trying to learn how to build an altar, what is an altar? Don't rush it. Right? I want to have a space in my home where I venerate my ancestors, I commemorate them, I acknowledge them. I want to have a space in my home, aka an altar. It might take you even a year just trying to realize what that even is, right? And the beauty about taking the journey of spirituality, especially African traditional spirituality, where you're delving into who we were before the interruption of colonialism, what were we practicing, right? You'll find that the spirituality has always been in you. It's just been suppressed by religion. Right now, it's just about reconnecting, remembering which aspects of what you already do, how you already operate are the spiritual sides of you, and what are the parts of conformity that religion has imposed on you. What are those areas and aspects that you need to sort of let go so that you can really come into a more wholesome spiritual sense of self, right? And spirituality, as my ancestors are teaching me, it's not something we put on or put off. It's something that you are day in and day out, right? And at the end of the day, as you are thinking about building an altar, understand that what I've been taught by my ancestors is I am the altar. I am the altar. And I've been testing things out where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to whisper something and I'll just whisper it. And I find that it's even in those moments of whispering things to them, I get answers even more quickly, right? It's not to say that sitting at my altar and venerating them and doing the clapping of the hands, I like to do that. I like to just like acknowledge them with the clapping of hands and all that, and all the other things that I've learned to do, all the other elements I've learned to have on the altar and things of that nature. I find that to be a bit more, I find it to be very mechanical and very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a show almost. It feels like a show. But it's in those moments where I'm just standing at the kitchen sink and I'm washing plates and I just start talking to them as I'm washing dishes. I find those moments to be a lot more authentic, more intimate with them, right? And even in talking to the guides. So you begin to learn yourself and what intimacy looks like for you, between you and your ancestors, between you and your guides, intimate communication, right? So the thing about spirituality is it's not going to be mechanical, and it's not going to look like everybody does this at this time. Everybody does that. We all don't do this. We all don't do that. That's not spirituality. You're looking for religion. Not to say the African cosmological systems do not have religions. We do have organized, formulated things, but then they're also them. They breathe. There's life in that. There is a lot of life in it. Like Ifa has a lot of life in it. I can't even liken it to the conformities of religion like Christianity. That's an unfair comparison right there, right? It's an unfair, and I'm not too familiar with Ifa, but I do see those who practice it, that they do have this sense of ebbing and flowing. There's a lot of life, right? Within the boundaries, there's a lot of life. It's like water coming to the shore and retracting and coming back to the shore and retracting, right? It can go all the way out if it wants to and hit the main roads and go beyond. It's gonna do whatever it wants to do. That's how our religions, even in Africa, are. They're not confined. They ebb and they flow. That's the best way that I feel like I can describe it. They ebb and they flow. There are obviously some things that are very close to practice that you have to do. You have to learn the practices. You have to you follow the protocols, and if you're called to such, then you have to be one to humble yourself, to learn yourself, and do as you have been practiced to do by those who've been doing it since time immemorial, for the keepers of our sacred secrets and sacred rituals that are just not out there. So these are some of the things that I've been learning, right, experientially. And also I feel like I've gone back to the university, ancestral university, doing a lot of reading, doing a lot of listening to podcasts. One of my favorite spaces for information on ancestral practices, African spirituality, and just like when it comes to Black people in the diaspora and how we have interpreted spirituality and what it looks like today, the main source that I like to go to is Ancestral Voices. I'm going to put it in the show notes. Ancestral Voices is a really, really sound source if you're looking to learn more about ancestors, African spirituality, and even self, the power of self outside of outside of the modernity and conformity. So this leads me to say this. Episode 2 is already going to go live today, September 8th at 7 p.m. This is September 8th at 6:55 a.m. So the second episode happened to come out first, and this is why I'm actually back doing podcasts. This just to tell you a little bit, this is damage control, really. This is why I'm here. Because episode 2 dropped, and I felt like my people, my ancestors, my guides are like, drop the episode. Because I don't know how to edit, as I was recording, this was an inspired story that just came out of me. As I'm recording this inspired story, and I'm in the, I'm channeling the story, so I'm just saying it as I'm hearing it, as I'm seeing it. In the middle of it, at about 15 minutes and 47 seconds, I just burp. I go into this burp for like 3 to 4 seconds. Can we just pause dramatically? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody, my LGBTQ plus IA family, my God, I burped for like 3 to 4 seconds, And so I don't know how to edit, so it's in there. If you're disgusted by burps, just know 15:47, it's gonna happen. So you can skip over those 3 to 4 seconds, right? Otherwise, in Sangoma, in looking through it through the lens of a healer, the Sangomas of South Africa, the burps can be seen as ancestors coming through. My friend who's an herbalist, Kathleen, calls them intuitive burps. Ooh, those are intuitive burps, Serena. I'm like, oh, thank you, because I've also heard it from the Sangomas when they speak. And sometimes they'll speak and they're burping. There's Star Mother Makosini, who's always burping in her podcasts, right? Those are the ancestors coming through. Just never thought it would be me. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer. It could have just been gas. It could have been the presence of my ancestors. I'll never truly know, but just know at 15:47, there are burps. And I don't think it'll be the last that's going to happen, especially if I'm channeling an inspired story or an inspired message. That might happen because I'm so open and I'm just letting things come through as they should, right? So if you're not familiar with ancestral burps or intuitive burps, it happens when the ancestors are present. I believe when they're like speaking through you, giving you a message. For those who know, they know, and I'm sure some people can explain that in a much more detailed manner than I'm doing right now. So episode 2 is going to drop tonight at 7 p.m. You want to listen. It's a story. It's called the Calabash of Conformity is Broken, inspired by a calabash that a friend of mine bought for me. It's a calabash. It's in the shape of a calabash. It's clay though. It's a clay made calabash. It's a clay pot made in the form of the shape of a calabash. So I called it a calabash, and a calabash is sacred in the African cosmological systems. Is sacred. We see calabashes as sacred, and so the calabash broke. and yesterday, the 7th, at nighttime, early this morning around 2 a.m., I got inspired to just tell this story as it came to me, wrapped around umbilini energy or kundalini energy, divine feminine, the calabash being divine, all of that just culminated and it channeled a story. So you want to hear the story. It's in its very rawest format. I felt like I wanted to keep the integrity of how the story came to me. So it's very raw, it's unedited, it's exactly how the message was inspired through me. So you're getting pure energy from the other side in form of storytelling. All right. I appreciate each and every one of you for listening to my podcast. If you would like to support me, I'm more than happy, because it costs in terms of time and money to make podcasts. You are more than welcome to donate. Serena Victor on Zelle, Cash App, and Venmo. Serena Chibs on PayPal. Chibs, CHIBS. Serena, SERENA. Victor, VIKTOR. VIKTOR. Not C, but K. VIKTOR. Serena Victor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. No. Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. Serena Chibs, PayPal. More than happy to receive your donations. If you are a website designer, don't mind helping a Black woman entrepreneur, mostly pro bono, to help me build my website. I would more than appreciate the help, and maybe we can figure out how to maybe do service exchanges. I could give you some of the services I offer in terms of spiritual guidance, spiritual mentorship, and channeled messages from the ancestors, from the guides, from the divine, and things of that nature. So just hit me up. Also, I want to mention that I am on Instagram, and my handle is Ubuntu_roots. And also, I love my roots, as in IYE, love my roots. And I'm on TikTok, Ubuntu Roots. I'm on Facebook, Serena Victor. And also, my podcast has a page on Facebook, Ubuntu Roots Podcast. Please follow me on all of these platforms. Support my YouTube, my YouTube channel by liking and sharing. Support my podcast. If you prefer to listen to podcasts, I'm on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, and I believe I'm also on Google. Please listen, go to those platforms, listen, like, share, leave a review. That's going to help to boost the ratings, and that's also going to boost the income that comes in. So that frees me up to help more people. It frees me up to create more content like this. So thank you, podcast family. Thank you very much. Thank you for the the text messages I've received from folks, and even mere strangers have walked up to me. They've been familiar with my story via my podcast, and like, hey, when are you gonna give us an update? We are, wanting to know what's going on with you. So here's an update. If you have questions, if there's something you want me to go more into in terms of the update, let me know, and I can talk more about specific areas of whatever you want an update on from what I just talked about. I can sort of elaborate. So this looks like the beginning of season 2 because of the channeled story that is episode 2, dropping tonight at 7 p.m. So welcome back. We're back from hiatus. I'm excited. Let's see what this new season has for us. We're going to play it by ear. I appreciate you. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Yes. I just launched a new program called the Back to Self Mentorship Program. Go to my link in bio on Instagram and read up about it. If you are a candidate for the program, it's a 1-to-1 session. The program begins when you sign up, right? So there's no start date. Definitive start date. It starts when you sign up for the program. One-on-one intimate time with me. I get to create a portal for you to unleash potentials in you. to help you and your ancestors do what you need to do, to help you become the final authority over your life, taking the journey from being defined by society and finally defining yourself. So we go through some ancestral practices, we uncover some truths, we remember and confront some lies. Trust me, if this is you, run to Instagram and go to my link in bio on Instagram. The program is called Back to Self Mentorship Incubator or Mentorship Program. And also, I offer guided meditations every fourth Wednesday at 9 p.m. Why not come and rest together? Take a moment to breathe in the same space. This is all virtual, so anyone from around the world can participate. Like I said, if you go to my link in bio, I offer a whole host of other services, including just holding space for you. Sometimes we just want to be held and heard, right? Whatever emotional troubles or spiritual troubles we're going through, sometimes we just want to be heard, right? So I offer space like that just to hear you out. So you can book a session on my website. I also have emotional support services, as well as spiritual mentoring programs. So you are welcome to hit me up. Go to my IG, Ubuntu_roots, and hit up my link in bio. The link in bio is basically when you go to my page, you're going to see my name, you're going to see Lozy Medicine Woman and some other things that I've written. You're going to see a link right under my profile. You're going to see a link right under there. So click on that link. That's called the link in bio. And then it's going to send you to another page, and it's going to show you the different things that I offer. And on there too, you're going to see my YouTube page as well. So subscribe to my channel and let everybody in your family subscribe except for the children. When you go to your Thanksgiving dinner this year, all your family members, let them all subscribe, including your grandmother and your great-grandmother and your great-grandfather. Let them all subscribe to this YouTube channel, okay? So we can all grow and listen and unleash our potential, right? Unleash the potentials that are in us beyond that is far imagined, beyond that which we far imagine. Yes. And so those are some of the things I'm offering. I would love to see you. I also do offer every Wednesday at 12 p.m. I offer virtual grounding meditation from 12 to 12:25. It's for those folks who are at work and you just need a moment to ground yourself. You need a moment to breathe. You can tune in. The link is in bio. Again, you have to go to my IG to sign up. If you don't have IG and you're like, if you don't have IG and you're like, Serena, I don't have IG, email me, Ubuntu_roots, and I'll send you a link and you can still sign up. And I'll meet you on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. We can ground, settle our minds and our souls together. If you want something more detailed, a little bit more intimate, every Wednesday night, every fourth Wednesday of the month. But this space is for Black women, for Black femmes to come and just rest. Everybody else is welcome to the 12 p.m., 12 to 25 every Wednesday. You'll have to go to my link in bio to sign up. You'll have to send me an email if you don't have IG to sign up. Or you can go to my Facebook page. I've posted about it. If you go far enough, you'll find it. I might put all those links I'm talking about on my Ubuntu Roots podcast page on Facebook as well, so you'll be able to find these. The way to get to me so much more easier. All right, I just love to tell the time to myself. We're 35 minutes into this podcast. I think we should stop here now. It's been fun. It really has been fun. I feel revived. Like I said, I'm going after the things that make me feel pleasurable. I feel pleasured right now. I feel content. I feel satisfied. I need to do more podcast episodes. I need to come on here and talk to y'all and spew the wisdom that my ancestors are depositing in me, and just, have these wildly intimate moments. I call them wildly intimate moments because I feel that way. I don't want to go, but I have to. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming through. My hope and my wish for you today is that you will be in divine harmony with yourself, that your right brain and your left brain will find unity, right? And unity, and decide that the mind wants peace, that the mind wants The mind wants calmness, the mind wants stillness. That your mind, your left brain, and your right brain will come together. Your divine feminine, your divine masculine will come together and be in unity. I pray that your heart, your left chamber and your right chamber will find alignment, that they will have one purpose. And in that one purpose are multitudes of how you can express yourself. I also pray for your womb of creation. If you are a female identifying person, that organ that sits in you, I pray that you have divine harmony and divine peace in that center. I pray for your root chakra, that place that is supposed to house security, that no matter what is happening in your external world, that you will allow your ancestors to help you find that rooting that you need, that idea of be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that you are God, meaning you have the ability to still calm yourself. That is my wish for you today. Again, my name is Serena Victor, and thank you for listening to my first episode, season 2, Ubuntu Roots podcast. Have a beautiful day.